I'm Mackenzie, and my story is about listening to Jesus and what he has for your life. A big part of this year was me not knowing what was going on, and I didn't know where I was being led because I had this long moment where I lost passion for what I loved. And it was heartbreaking because I love this, but I'm not feeling passion for it anymore. And it just was long and very difficult. And those fears started to creep in, and stress started to creep in, and because everybody that I knew was like, oh, you're going this way, I'm so proud of you. It was very stressful, and I didn't know how to tell them that I didn't want to do that anymore. And until one, at some point this summer, I was like, okay, this has gone far enough. I got to really be with God in this moment and figure out what I wanted, figure out what he wants me to do. And so I tacked up my horse and I went for a long ride in the field, because that's where I feel closest to God, is whenever I'm with horses. And because thankfully I didn't lose passion for that. But I was just sitting there by myself, kind of walking around, and all of a sudden this picture came to my mind, and it was me helping this little girl with a horse. And she just had so much peace and happiness in her, on her, written all over her face. And it came to me that I needed to help people through animals. And because I have an autoimmune condition, which surprises a lot of people because I don't make it look like I do. And my horse really helped me with my recovery. And then I was like, oh, so this is why I was diagnosed with that so long ago. And things just started to come together. And I started to really realize why things happened. Because for a really long time, I didn't know, I was like, why would you do this? It's stopped me from doing a lot of stuff. It's made me sick all the time. And this, God was like, Mackenzie, this is why it happened. This, so that you could really connect with those that are also struggling in this area, and you can help them Tank helped you in this situation, help them recover, help them physically recover, help them mentally recover. And that's where I met this lady, and she was so she was so happy with what I wanted to do and how I wanted to help people. And she got me into coaching and starting my coaching certificate. And I was like, wow, God, this is okay. And and she's exactly like me, where she loves horses, loves people, loves God. And she became my mentor in all of this. And it's actually quite crazy. And so I've been helping to coach little kids, and I've been learning to coach groups, and I've been learning a lot more about horses through this time of working at her barn and doing all this stuff. And it's given me connections, and every time I start talking about it, it gets me so super excited. And so the main takeaway from all of this is open your heart to God. Like, there's so many things that he wants to tell you. There's so many things that he wants to like show you. And he wants you to help you to realize like why he did the things that he did in your life, and why, and like the direction that he just wants to take you in. He wants to give you the passion, like he wants to give you your main passion and your calling, and so like, but you have to listen, because he's not gonna always like shine down a light like he did on Saul on the road. It's not gonna be always clear. And so you need to, sometimes you just gotta sit and you gotta by yourself, and you gotta just like, I'm here, God, tell me, like, just show me what you want to tell me. So you really gotta open your heart and open your mind, open your eyes to what Jesus is saying to you, because it could be something so great. Well, it will be something so great. Yeah.
Hey Foothills Youth, welcome back. We're glad you're here, no matter where you're watching, no matter when you're watching. If you're here, I'm glad. I hope that this message lands in your heart and your souls. We're talking about solitude this week, and I don't know about you, but like, we've got a great backyard here in Calgary. We've got mountains over there, and we've got prairies over there, and you know, I always feel a little guilty when I got visitors come in from out of town and they're like, man, if I lived here in Calgary, I'd be out there all the time. And then inside I feel a little bit guilty and a little bit shamed, because like I never go out there. And it's probably because it's so accessible, but also it takes a little bit of effort. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes gas. Like I don't go mostly because of those things. It takes a long time. But when I do, my soul always feels rested. If I'm going to Banff, if I'm just going to Kananaskis, wherever it is, like just taking a day and going, driving back, I just feel like it was worth it. Now, for us, we got to, like, as we explore our backyard here in Calgary, which arguably is the greatest in the world, like, if we want to find the rest and the stuff that's accessible out there in the wilderness of the mountains, we just got to do it. And we're going to talk about a practice today that is like very similar to the effort that it takes. That's something that's so beautiful, amazing, and restful and accessible, but it takes the energy and the effort to actually go and do that. And that is solitude. Solitude, I mean, like, think about it. Like, we've got places in our homes, in the spaces that we live, in our neighborhoods, that we could go. And like Jesus did when he would go away and pray, and he would go to the lonely places to pray. Like, he would take time out of his schedule to go to these quiet places to be with the Father. It didn't just happen for him. He took time, and he took and spent the energy to go and do it. The same thing for us. We need to find these places if we want what we're going to be talking about, to see and to do this practice. It just takes getting over that wall. The goal of solitude is to discover who we are in God, to hear his voice, to grow in relationship with him. Solitude is crucial for that. But let me start with a question. If you want those things, solitude is the practice for that. This isn't a coercion, this isn't a force, this isn't a religious act. You need to do A, B, and C so that you get to heaven. This is, you show up and you just do it. If you want to figure out who you are in Jesus. If you want to find deeper relationship with him. If you just need peace for your soul. So let me start off with some whys of practicing this. Don't like heights, never liked heights, scared of them. But I love to climb, and if I want to climb, I need to go to places where there are heights and I have a risk of falling. Same thing with solitude. If I want to find these things, I need to go to the places that would like make most of us uncomfortable, quiet. Our thoughts are just our own, everything like that. Everything rushes to us. If we want the results of the practice, we got to go to the places that we're a little bit scared of. And I bet you for most of you, quiet and on your own with no phone, no distractions is a scary place. Look at Jesus' relationship with the Father. He knew him. And he didn't just know him, he knew him. This was such a poignant, an important part of Jesus' routine. And if Jesus is too lofty of an example, look at Moses. Moses was killed a dude. And yet, it's recorded so many times he went up on the mountain to pray, to spend time with God. And God said that he spoke to Moses like somebody speaks to a friend. Look, if Moses can be called a friend of God, we all got a chance. We all got a chance. Now, I can't hear God's voice when I'm busy or distracted. What has happened is, building up to this talk, I decided I was just going to go all in on this experience. I decided for 1 week I was going to spend time doing silence, solitude, every day till this talk. And I did. And the first day was brutal because it took me 15 minutes to finally calm down my brain, to stop racing, till I could finally come to a place where I could just be quiet, and internal quiet as well. And when I finally got there, it was good. I had to do some breathing exercises because my body would just not calm down. But once I was there, once I made the effort, I took the time, we got there. And what has happened as I progressed every single week, I found that things were changing inside. Verses that God would speak to me were at the front of my mind in more situations than there have ever been. I could think of these things, what Jesus said. And for example, I've been reading Luke 6, and it's just the loving your enemies as I would myself. Not that I'm looking at anybody or who calling anybody my enemy, but the people when I look on social media that I disagree with, not to say that they're my enemies, but all of a sudden Jesus' words are coming to the forefront of my mind, and I'm beginning to feel differently about these people that are triggering me. And instead of judging them, which also in Luke 6 says, don't judge, you'll be judged, I'm feeling God's love for these people. It's been so good. So if, again, we want to be friends with God, we need to be with God, we got to get alone. If you don't want to hear from him, don't do it. That's not passive aggressive. I'm just saying, God will not force you into relationship with him, which makes this relationship beautiful. It would not be a great relationship if he forced you into relationship with him. But if you want this, if you want to figure out who you are in Jesus, if you want to be better friends with God, this is the practice. But here's, and what happens when you do this is you find out who you are in Jesus. You become better friends with God. And your identity begins to shape. An identity that's strong and resilient against the voices of today. And that's so good. You know who loves you. And you become better friends with him. And your mental health will take a boost too. I'm not saying this is a cure for every and all anxiety, but I found my anxiety and stress levels that began to drop as I centered myself, as I quieted, even as I just quieted and tried to relax my body. It was good. So some ways to start. You got to set a time. Just pick a time. If you don't, it won't happen. 5 to 10 minutes. Start with a small goal. It might take you that 5 to 10 minutes to finally calm down like I did. Your brain will stop actually rushing. But pick a reasonable amount of time. Pick a place. Where is your wilderness in your house, in your neighborhood? If you can get out to the mountains, that's great too. But if but find something that's accessible for you too. And think about the places where you can escape, where you can be in the wilderness with Jesus. And then what you got to do is you have to turn off your phone, your computer, your Amazon Fire Stick, your PS5, your Xbox, your Tamagotchi, Sega Genesis, whatever your fix is, put it down, turn it off, because you won't happen with the distractions there. I had my phone literally right here. Well, you can't see that. It wasn't far from me. And I could just see it. And literally as I'm trying to calm myself down, I just went to my phone so many times. I finally had to just almost throw it across the room. So I just couldn't, it just at least has to be out of arm reach. I found that the most helpful. And grab your Bible. Just open it up. Read through the Gospels if you need a place, or pick a place in the Gospels, a small amount of section. You don't have to read the whole book. Just read a couple of verses. Let them sit in your mind and your soul. And then what I started doing was just breathing. just actual, like, physically calming myself down. And I found that super helpful. But here's the thing that you're going to face, is the battle of actually starting it. Man, the things that God asks us to do, like, sometimes we need to take the initiative in. If we want something like this, we will have to actually just start and do it ourselves. He'll never force you into it. Moses didn't have to go up on the mountain. He could have just been chilling. But it took him physical exertion to go and spend time with God. Jesus took time out of his incredibly busy schedule to do this. It takes effort on our part, and that's the hardest part. The distractions, obviously, that's a huge thing. But here's what I want you to know. This is not a fail or succeed practice. Like, this is just, all you can do is show up. And sometimes you just show up and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything. Yeah, you maybe never picked up your phone. That's a win. That's a win. Don't sweat it. If that's all you have in the 5 to 10 minutes where you're not looking at your phone, you started. You did it. Congratulations. Let me be the first person to give you a hand. It's got to start somewhere. All you can do is show up. And then it's in this place where you can ask God literally any questions. He can handle it. I've had some really hard, deep soul questions for Jesus. And in the quiet place, he can handle that. He's not sweating my questions. So let me go back to the thing I started all with, is if you want to be changed by Jesus, if you want to know him better, if you want to know you better, solitude is where much of that change will happen. Love you all. We're praying for you. And jump into this. If this is what you want, just start somewhere. You guys are great. We love you. See you next time.